Hi there. Welcome to AutoRetro, the podcast where we talk to guests about the cars of their lives. I'm David.
And I'm Ed.
And tonight...
Who do we have tonight, David?
We're very lucky tonight. We have our special guest tonight is an educator. He's a teacher. He's also a seasoned podcast professional of nearly 400 episodes.
Amazing.
Indeed. And he is the man behind Car Talk with Matty J.
He is Matty J.
Indeed. Matthew Janineh, welcome to AutoRetro.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
And he's here to talk to us about cars.
I know. It's. I mean, with a name like AutoRetro, you'd think it'd be about cars, wouldn't you? Like it's
in the name.
It's in the name.
It's
sort of in the name.
It is. It's a safe bet.
But not just any cars. We want to talk about
retro.
Your cars and your car story.
Exactly. You've been into cars for a long, long time.
Cars are everything in my life, essentially.
I thought you had a new dog. I thought that was...
Oh, okay, yes. Well, Thomas is now a big part of my life. But
he features as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
he likes cars.
He does.
He does. He was riding in the car when I saw you the other day.
Him and the Laser are best friends.
Exactly.
So
he rides well.
He rides well. He likes the Forester too, by the way. Like he's
don't get too comfy. That might be going.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Yes, it'll be sad. But anyway,
well, let's take you back, Matthew, to right back. David's got some little questions we can refer to here, but one of the first is, what is your first ever car memory?
First ever car memory? That's a good question. I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother got me a, I don't know if you guys remember them, but it was like a play school car where you came with a set of keys and
big plastic
keys, and the door opened, the bonnet opened, and the aerial went up because the aerials were electric aerials were pretty cool.
That's luxurious. Like an electric aerial.
Absolutely. And
so now, to a child, how big was it to you? Was it huge?
It was. I still got it actually.
Of course you have.
It was about that. It's about that big and that wide and.
Yep.
I've still got it, and I always remember having that. But my mum always said to me, like, I was obsessed with anything with a car, and she's like, when I was 2, and we used to go walking through the. When they'd go shopping, we'd go walking through the car park, and I'd make sure to go through every single aisle, just reel off the name of the cars just one by one.
Well, it was educational, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Long shopping. Mum didn't get out of there for hours on end.
She didn't like taking me shopping.
Would you just get in the damn car, Matthew?
Absolutely. She did not like taking me shopping at all.
Just hearing you say that about that toy you had, was it Playmobil, did you say?
I think it was
Play School.
Play School, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. School spelt wrong from memory. I think it was
SK.
SK or whatever's going on there.
Yes, I've seen those.
I was in at a Porsche dealer yesterday, and Playmobil, which make toys for kids, you can now get a Playmobil Taycan. So the great thing about that is that it's continuing on to another generation.
Well, you'd say that, but I'm 30 and I'm still playing with Lego cars, as you know. So
they're very addictive, particularly during a lockdown.
Indeed. I think Lego sales went
through
the roof during
nuts.
the lockdown.
They would have gone nuts.
Yeah.
So that's your first car memory, is that toy?
Pretty much, yeah.
And where did it go from there in terms of, fast forward through your, what would I say, slightly autistic knowledge of cars?
Encyclopedic.
That's probably a better word, isn't it? Not that there's anything wrong with autistic. No. I would categorise myself on that spectrum.
Bit on the spectrum, yep.
So then you fast forward, and then there would have been a first car, maybe somewhere that you drove.
First car that I ever drove, let's just say legally, was...
Well, it's a safe place here. I mean, if it was a long time ago, the statute of limitations has probably expired.
It would have, I'd say.
Yep.
The first car I ever drove was a 1989 KE Ford Laser GL 1.6 automatic. That was the first car I ever drove.
An illustrious automobile.
Very much so. No power steer, no AC.
So plain Jane.
It was poverty pack.
So is that GL?
Wow. GL.
Yeah, GL.
It was a GL silver. And
a KC, the bubble back, of course.
Well, yeah, it was the KE. So it was the
update of the bubble back.
Update bubble. They were quite sought after, the bubbles.
They were.
Sold gazillions of them, didn't they?
Mainly for young ladies about town. A bubble back laser back then was quite a thing.
Yeah, even the old ads used to go like that.
Laser the Amazer.
Laser the Amazer.
So whose car was that?
That was my mum's car.
Okay.
Okay. Did she know? That's the first car you drove.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good.
So
okay.
she
Not in too dangerous territory.
No, so it was 9 p.m. on a cold, wintry night around the back streets of my area, and I was like, "Oh, can we just go out and take it for a run?" She's like, "No," and I think she just did it to shut me up.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So she's like, "All right, we'll just go around the block," and I went around the block, and I was like, and I just kept going around, and she's like, "All right, that's enough now."
Right, enough.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So how old were you?
15.
Okay,
So
so not quite L plates.
Not quite L plates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
So-
And what was your impression after that? Did you think, I love driving, or this is horrible, I hate this car?
No, I thought this was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I mean, it was.
Didn't really matter what it was it?
No.
No.
Back then, that first drive.
You were on the road, and that was that. Like that was supposed to be my first car, but it didn't end up happening.
Didn't
Okay.
last that long.
No. It lasted. It's still around somewhere in Sydney, I believe, the car. So yeah, that was.
So that was the silver.
That was the
Blazer.
silver one, and it was very recognisable because my brother fell off his bike, and the bike landed on the bonnet of the car and put a
Oh.
massive gouge in the bonnet.
Oh,
Okay.
never good.
So touch up wasn't going to fix that. Let's be honest. And so yeah, but that was Mum's car because she needed a car after our XF Fairmont got stolen. So with the money that we didn't get much from the XF, went,
Easy to steal.
They
Yeah.
were very easy to still
I
are.
think the dipstick was part of.
Yeah,
the
you could
stealing
pull the
of them.
dipstick
Yeah.
and it'd go in the ignition and
Yep.
Bang.
turn it. Yeah, that's
Straight
true.
away.
Yep.
That's true.
Ford came to their senses finally in the EB series of Falcons.
With the smart lock,
Smart lock.
system,
EB
which flashed
smart lock.
smart lock
in the middle.
smart lock. And do you remember those locks on EBs? They'd go.
Oh.
They had a real because it was sort of like it was an old man getting out of bed. Like, don't wake me up, and you'd click the remote, and it'd go.
Well, it's funny you say that because my mum's got an EF XR8 at the moment, and still got that same.
Same
and
sound.
Yeah.
It's just it's a horrible noise.
It's not nice.
Not nice. But
So that was the laser you learnt to drive in. Or no, not learnt, had to drive.
Had to drive
First
in.
drive.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Then we fast forward. What was your first car ever?
My first car ever. So again, I was supposed to get that laser. That's that
The
silver
KE,
laser, like the
yep.
KE. But the neighbours needed a car, and they needed a car quickly, and we sold it for $1,000, and they drove it to Sydney and
Oh,
never saw it again.
Gone.
But apparently it's still there. They sold it to a family friend of theirs, and
okay.
apparently it's still working. So
I
Cool.
think we need to find that car.
You might need to find that.
I think
Bring it home for
bring it
you.
home. I know.
We'll put it on, like on Top Gear, we'll put it on a plinth, in your front yard.
And I'll be like, well,
The
this is
silver bullet.
a silver bullet. Oh yeah. Always.
Well, it might be overstating it. But
Yeah, just a little bit. But then we got into it. So I obviously needed a car,
Yeah.
and Mum had a V6 Camry, which I loved.
lovely
Which
car.
that wasn't the wide body. That
No.
was the
No,
first.
SV21
21.
shape.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
that's
it-
right.
Quad
they called
cam.
it quad cam V6.
Yeah,
so they called it the VZ21 because Toyota's got they
Very
named-
zippy. SV21.
correct. They got a way of naming their cars after engine codes and stuff. So
Yes.
So the V6 engines were started with a V in there. 2VZ. So the V denoted that. So that's what they changed it. But
Okay.
Sensible Toyota.
sensible, very sensible. Toyota just do things very sensibly, don't they?
They do. They do. But now a Camry can be perceived by the kids as being a bit of a daggy car. Was the V6 perceived by the family or the younger ones in the family as a daggy car or a great car?
Well, I loved that car.
Okay.
I'd do anything to get it back. But it went hard. I always remember how hard it used to go. All my mates at school had like Commodores and Falcons and stuff, and I taught them a thing or two in the Camry.
Oh, okay. So we fast forward to having the license, hopefully.
Correct,
At this
yes.
stage, okay, and driving the V6
Because it's a
Camry.
bit of a
Wow.
sleeper, really, because A, they were expensive, the
They
V6
were.
version, and B, not out because of that, they didn't sell a whole lot of them. So, if you look at any SV21 Camry in the street or wherever, you might still find one. And they're still out there. They're
They're
very
still
reliable.
there.
They
absolutely.
are a reliable
It
thing.
is 9 times out of 10 going to be a 4-cylinder. And the V6, rare. So people wouldn't expect it.
No.
It's a very,
No, that's right.
it's a sleeper.
Yeah, I remember reading and like when we first got it, like again, the internet was kind of like a new thing for us. We got that and we got a computer, and I was like, oof.
You'd made it, man.
We had made
Your
it.
family
To the
was
90s.
like here. You know what? You were Neville Bartos. You were flying.
Yes, correct. Here, Camry.
Here, Camry V6, man. I'm flying. But that wasn't your car though. You drove that, but it wasn't your car.
I drove that car. That was the first car I legally drove.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I generally missed that car. It had the coldest aircon I've ever had. It just was brilliant.
Good machine.
Just
Good machine.
worked.
It just worked. I mean, the transmission were known to, especially on the V6s, were known to not be the best. They used to,
Probably putting too much power through it, isn't it? 'Cause
correct. Yeah.
I'd say
The
so.
4-cylinder doesn't matter, not a problem.
The V6 when you had a young L plater and P plater driving it, didn't really like it as much.
Fast starts.
Yes. It did spin up the wheels quite well though. So
So you drove around in that
Yeah.
quite a bit.
I did.
But then that wasn't your own car.
No. So during the same time, because that was still Mum's car at the time.
Yeah.
My mum works at a mechanical workshop, and they had in.
Is she a mechanic?
No, she's a.
Is she on the tools?
I wish she was. My bills would be a lot cheaper.
How cool would that be?
Mum.
Imagine that. It's running
timing
rough on
belt,
cylinder
Mum.
5. I told you. Check the timing.
I'll just see her underneath the car. Just,
Yeah.
Pass me the 10
That
minutes.
would be every young car guy's dream, wouldn't it, to have your mum
Oh, be great.
be a mechanic?
It'd be like the best thing ever.
All your mates would be around. Wow, your mum's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. But anyway, she worked there, and she still does work there actually, and
Yeah.
I call him Rat Bags. But my mechanic right now, he's a great guy. He's known me since I've been like a pup, like real young.
Yep.
Had this KH Series 1 manual aircon no steer GL
Okay.
in burgundy.
A laser again for our listeners at home.
Yes,
a laser again.
Another laser.
Another Ford laser. So it was a 92.
It was
And-
very fitting, given that first drive was in a laser and now your first car's a laser.
Correct.
And what did you drive here tonight in?
A laser.
And we'll get to that later. But
Wow.
there's a little bit of a theme going on.
A little bit of a
here.
connection. I'm one of those weird people that like everyone likes Golfs and 86s and stuff, and here's me liking lasers. Like it's just,
And when you say everyone, I don't much care for a Golf.
this is true. This is true. But the perceived. Again, like at high school, well, my high school in the northern suburbs, like having a car was like a really cool thing, and you were kind of judged on what car you had.
Of course.
It was a bit of a status thing, right?
Of course.
Oh, the school car park. First, it's what car your parents drove you to school in.
Yes.
Or
Nissan
dropped you
Irvan,
off in.
yes.
Yeah, Nissan Irvan, which I made them park around the corner.
Yeah, understand.
See, I think that's
had a
cool.
base model Gemini in chamois with chamois interior. That was
Which
the
is,
blandest
for anyone
thing you
listening,
could
it's beige on
Like
beige.
beige on beige, putty beige. Yes.
It's a very big thing as a kid. Not just any kid. Any kid's probably a bit sensitive. But a car kid, like you or me or David, what
Absolutely.
you got dropped off or picked up at school was like part of your DNA.
Absolutely.
And so, I remember, as you said, the Nissan Irvan, I made my parents park around the corner. So embarrassing. Now, with the stripes,
That'd be cool.
it's kind of retro cool. Now, back then,
Indeed.
not good. So you got dropped off in...
Well, I got dropped off in the Camry for many years,
Fine, okay.
and the laser and the KE.
And you're walking to school saying, check out the 15-inch alloy wheels. It's a V6.
It's a V6,
It's a
correct?
V6. Yep.
Absolutely.
But then your first car
Absolutely.
in the lineup of student cars, how did that go in the pecking order? Being
Lowest.
one word,
Harsh.
lowest.
It's very harsh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love that car. It was a good car, and Matt was known as the car guy of school. Like I was obsessed.
Yes.
So basically, I to put in context, I finished. I was in year 12 in 2009,
Yeah.
and the car park looked like this TS Astra SRI 2.2.
Which is
Okay.
which is
It's a
quite
nice
a
car.
hottish car.
It was
back
5
then.
years old. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was-
that's not a junky car.
No, it was it went pretty well, that car. Your myriad of Commodores and Falcons. There was a brand new Commodore Amiga which his dad was like.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, his
That's
dad went for
unnecessary, isn't it? Really.
Correct,
By
yeah.
you.
I mean, Amiga was the base model, but still
True.
a
But
brand new
Commodore.
anything. Like there was a girl at my school that had a brand new Suzuki Vitara 4-door,
Wow.
right when that 4-door first came out.
Oh, yeah.
And her mum had bought it and didn't really like it, so just sort of gave it to the daughter. And I was driving my Mini, you know, like 60s Mini, and there were a lot of other sort of, you know, a range of things, but she just rocks up in that, and you're like, oh.
That is the ultimate Barbie girl car, isn't
It
it?
is.
It absolutely.
I mean, a soft top Vitara probably would have been more Barbie,
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
Barbie.
perhaps.
It was still like, oh wow, nice car.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
30 back then, you know,
Yeah, they went
35
cheap.
grand or something.
Yeah,
Like, oof. Just because mum didn't really like it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, you can. Here's the keys.
Yeah, exactly. so you were lowest in the pecking order, but you were the
Correct.
biggest car guy.
I was the biggest car guy.
But I think there's still, I don't know, for me, and I'm sure you were the same, there was still a very big sense of pride in your car, no matter what it was. Because it was
Absolutely.
just yours.
Absolutely, it was your own. It was
yours.
freedom.
Yeah,
it
was all of that.
You were off.
I think for me it was
You could go
more.
wherever you liked.
Yeah, correct. And I think for me it was more the fact that I worked hard. I was working at Red Rooster. I saved up my $6.90 an hour, and
Is that what you got paid?
I
for?
got that was when I first started there. That was pathetic.
Mind you, petrol was probably like 70 cents a litre.
That's
back
true.
then.
Oh no, it was still it was over $1.
Over $1?
Over $1. Yep.
Triple me.
Yeah. I always went cheapo Tuesdays to fill it up, which didn't really make
Didn't
sense.
make much of a
No,
difference.
it didn't make a difference at
Just
all.
drive it one less time a week. You know.
Correct.
So the Burgundy Laser was your first ever car.
Was correct.
Worst in the school lineup.
Absolutely.
What came next?
Next was my current Laser, which I still own.
Get out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's your second car.
That's my second car. Yeah.
Wow.
Far out.
Yeah. Had
Which
about-
is a
So you've had that
I got that.
10 years, at least 10 years.
I've had it 12 years this year.
12 years.
that's
Impressive.
quite long to have a
Yeah.
car
Yeah.
in this day and age.
In this day and age.
Now, what? Let's tell the listeners
Especially
what
if
is
you're
that car. Well, hang on, a lot of my cars I've owned for many
That's
years.
true. That is true.
That car is a 2001
Correct. Yeah.
Ford Laser
SR2.
SR2.
No, the big
Not
one.
the base one, the top of the pops.
Top of the range,
Well, hang on,
mate.
was there one higher than
No,
that?
that was it. That was the most
So
expensive.
you've
Laser
gone
you
from
could
the basest laser
To the
and you
toppest.
said,
To the
God damn
toppest."
it, my second car is not going to be the basest laser. I'm going to go to the top laser.
buy. Well, see, I wasn't.
Cream of the cream.
I wasn't wanting to get an SR2, but I always liked him because my neighbor, when I was a kid, he used to work for Ford. He bought one brand new in blue. I was like, oh, it's such a cool
That's
car.
such a nice car.
Because we had the KE at the time. I was like,
Yeah.
and then old to new, I was like, wow, that's like a.
So different.
So
Such
different.
a quantum leap in lasers.
It was. It really was.
It was, and it was a big. It was a big jump styling wise and everything. It was quite
True.
modern, that car.
It was. For a time, it was a good looking car. I
Yeah,
thought.
I think they still are.
Yeah.
They're very tidy, that model.
Yeah.
And the SR2, they were built in Japan, weren't they?
Japan, yeah.
Of course. So that was a big change from the local assembly of the KH.
No wonder
Absolutely.
it was good.
To be fair, my KH done a lot of kilometers. I paid $500 for the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was falling to bits. But
And this second one, what did you pay for that?
I paid $8,000.
Which is
Ooh,
big
okay.
jump.
that was
Big
massive.
jump.
Like I
That's
scrimped.
a lot of hours at Red Rooster.
That's a hell of a lot of hours at Red Rooster.
And
Red Rooster.
I was working Red Rooster and Target to pay for that back in the day.
Okay,
So
okay.
as
Two
well
jobs.
as well as at TAFE, and then I just worked my ass off. I scrimped, and the guys would be going for lunch. I'd be like, nah, I brought a sandwich from home today. And
Oh, look at you.
Good work.
So-
wow.
Priorities.
Priorities.
Absolutely. That's brilliant.
Well, I would have kept my red laser, but my mechanic was like, Matt, I know I sold you the car, but he's like, it's full, it's had it.
It's
Like,
time.
It's time,
It's
yeah.
time. And you'd probably given it a few hard kilometres in those early years.
It's your first car.
yeah,
and it was-
yeah, you're trying things out. You know?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I had fun
Yeah.
in that car, but yeah, the thing is, I really wanted a TX3 turbo to be precise. But
So yeah, actually, it wasn't the top laser.
well, I mean, they didn't do a TX3 in
That's
the,
true,
in the
they didn't,
KH,
yeah.
but
Yep.
sorry, in the KQ, but they, for some reason, when I got my Ps, they changed the law so you couldn't drive anything with a turbocharger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got off my Ps, you could drive a turbo because they went back to powered away, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then I missed out on getting a TX3 turbo.
Yeah.
And now they've both sailed, sadly.
Yep,
To
pretty
A, to
much.
find one, B, to
Yeah.
afford one.
Absolutely. So,
So that was second car.
correct.
Still owned.
It's my favorite car. I'll get rid of everything else before I get rid of that car. So,
Okay.
so yeah, that's
And it's very tidy. You know, it's for a black car. You know,
Exactly.
It's very nice.
It takes commitment to keep a black car looking
It
that good
does.
and for that long.
It does. It
and
does.
and you're the man that's got it.
it needs a respray and stuff, but it's, you know what, it's 300,000 Ks.
Very presentable.
It's very presentable. It's got nothing wrong with it. So.
And then what was our next trajectory? Maybe some highlights, lowlights of what came next.
Yeah, well, the next car I still have. Well, I'll preface, I still own all the cars that are at the same.
Okay. So this is...
we're going to run through, basically, just run through your collection now.
So, well, the next car I got was... Because I went to TAFE and then got credits to go to uni. Went to uni, saved again, and as like a little present to myself... My mum, we didn't have a lot of money at the time, but she's like, look, here's a few $1,000s. Well, it wasn't a lot. She's like, put it towards your car that you want, because she always promised me, like, go to uni, I'll buy you a car.
Okay.
And circumstances happen, but
you could still buy a car for that. It might not just be the one you want.
Not the one I wanted.
No.
And
a beautiful model.
Correct. which I do have a lot of.
Yeah.
But I ended up buying a 2004 F6 Typhoon, and that was my that was
the next one.
That was the next one,
which is quite a laser.
Yeah,
still a Ford.
Very
different Ford.
Correct.
So F6 Typhoon is straight six, turbocharged.
Correct. Yeah.
Manual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that car, David and I have seen that car. That is a very clean car.
It's a beautiful car.
It's a very tidy original car, yeah.
All the books, all the original keys, everything's got the original compendium that came with it. I think you've talked about that.
Build certificates and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a very collectible machine. And it's gone up quite a bit.
Well, that is money in the bank, I was just going to say. Those sort of cars.
It's weird, like...
Especially with the finishing up of local production.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's weird, like I paid 18 grand for that car.
Wow,
and
What is their car now?
They're going 50 grand.
Wow.
And it's...
Yep.
I mean, to me, it's preposterous. I wouldn't pay 50 grand, but...
No, but that's what people will pay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Who are only sort of now appreciating this, what a special car it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is a special car. It's, they're all uniquely numbered, and it was the first turbo FPV. It was the first time they used the 6-speed manual. It was a first of first for that car.
Yep.
And the engine's beautiful. Like it's the highlight. It's the centerpiece.
What
of
do
that
I call that car, Matt? I've driven it. What do I call it?
The Velvet Glove.
The Velvet Glove. It's powerful but firm, but soft at the same time.
He's thought about it a lot.
He has.
Yes.
It just came to me one day when I was in it. We took it down to Bairnsdale, I think.
We did, yeah.
To buy my
Pajero,
Pajero, I think. And Matt's like, "What do you think of the car, Ed?" And I was like, "It's like a Velvet Glove, it's just it's very powerful but soft." Yeah. Anyway, so we have that. That's still in the collection.
That's still in the collection.
Laser still in the collection.
Those two are pretty much the mainstays. I don't think they're going anywhere.
And that has a very good very low Ks on it.
Yeah, 136.
Yeah,
unlike the laser that's got
300.
Has it clocked 3 yet?
It's 1,000 Ks away.
We've got to drive it. Let's go on a road trip.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do it.
Tick it over.
We want photos. On,
2999.
Yeah.
So I've got to do that. I want to tick it over.
I love the tick over. Well, I remember my friend's dad. He had an S Class back in the 90s. It was an 80s model, but it was back in the 90s.
126.
Yeah, 126. It was navy blue with the cream leather.
Beautiful car.
380 SEL. Oof, and that car, he bought it with like 274 on it. And was about to clock 3, and I saw him one day, and I said, "Have you clocked it?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Why are you sad? Aren't you proud?" And he said, "It's worth abs." Now that just proves it's worth absolutely nothing. That car. And I'm like, yeah, but then you get so high in the Ks that it's good.
Absolutely.
And you're
That's
like,
right.
"Oh, do you reckon I can get to 320 or 350?" It's a real boon.
Well, there's like that Volvo overseas that did 8 million kilometers, and it's
Is that the P1800?
Yes.
Yeah,
the old guy that bought it new, it
passed away
eventually
recently,
died, and it's gone to someone or some museum, I think.
Correct, yeah.
But that, I think that's the world record holder, or Guinness World Record holder, yeah.
And I found it a shame that they put that in a museum. I'm like, you got to keep driving it.
Someone might be. I might have got that wrong. They might be still driving it. So someone might.
Well, let's hope
cars like that need a custodian, don't they? You don't just sell them off, in the Facebook Marketplace, because they need to. They're so special now. You've got to be preserved. And if a museum doesn't do it, then you've got to find the right person to do it.
Absolutely.
Someone who's prepared to literally never stop driving.
Just
That's right.
daily the crap out of it.
So imagine the ad. Do you like sitting down whilst moving?
Do you have a 4-hour
We've
commute?
got it. Yeah.
Are you au,
One way.
are you au fait with a drive-through meal? We've got the car for you.
Do you like being Uber but not Uber?
Uber, not Uber.
But yeah.
So now we have a Laser SR2 and we have a Typhoon.
Ford Typhoon. What
Came next?
Next came my W124 Mercedes.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, take us through
Almost-
why is there a 124 Mercedes?
Well, I got it for free.
That's as good a reason
That's
as
a good-
any.
good reason.
Got it for free.
I've spent. Well, let's just say that car, I could have bought a really good one.
okay.
But you know what? I learnt a lot, and I piss farted around with it. I broke it. I fixed it. I painted it. Well, I learnt to paint a car. I mean, not a great job,
I've
but
seen the paint job.
I call it a 2-meter car.
Yeah,
It's sort of like one of those modern matte finishes without meaning to
That's
be a
right.
matte
Correct.
finish.
That's correct. Yes,
Yeah.
Correct.
yes.
Yeah,
All the
Benz.
rage now.
You were
They're
ahead
all
of the
the
time.
rage.
Benz came out with those matte colours, not that long ago.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. So
Yeah, no such thing as a free car.
No.
No,
It's
proven to be the case.
correct. But you know what? It's taught me a lot.
So that's a 300E, isn't it?
260.
Oh, 260.
260.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the baby
Base.
seats.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say base model. It's not the base
No,
model.
no.
It's the entry-level six-cylinder
Six-cylinder.
model. Yeah.
Correct. MB-Tex, best thing in the world.
Yep.
Yes.
Indestructible.
Indestructible.
MB-Tex interior. For those watching, listening, vinyl,
Yes.
you would say.
It is.
No,
That's what it
they-
is.
Vinyl, but it's very good vinyl.
Very good.
As I said to people, there's vinyl and there's vinyl. That
Yep.
the MB-Tex, which stands for Mercedes-Benz Textured Trim, is a perforated. The center sections are perforated. It looks like leather.
It does, yeah.
And
It does.
so many people I've met over the years are like, my car's got the leather's in beautiful condition. It's like the only reason that's looking
It's
beautiful is it's
MB-Tex.
MB-Tex. It's vinyl. It's not leather.
It never saw the back end
yeah.
of a cow. That
No,
never
it did
ever.
not. And we've talked about this before. The wrecking yards, that the cars are often destroyed and rusted, but the MB-Tex interiors
Mint.
are beautiful.
Yep.
Yep. So it's got that. Now
It's got that.
you still own this car.
I do. Even though you've been telling me to get rid of it for the past 3 years. Look, when it works, it works. It drives really nicely when it works. So I'd really like to get a TE.
A wagon?
A wagon.
Yes, absolutely.
That is like I love 124s. I think they are, if not the best car engineered ever made, when they work. I said I'll specify that.
Yours, to give it some context, yours has done over 500,000
Yeah,
Ks.
mine's done probably over 600,000 at this point.
As
yeah.
far
Wow,
as we know,
okay.
that car's never had an engine or a head
It's
off.
had the head off.
Head off, okay.
It
Yeah.
had the head off by the previous owner.
Yeah.
So they did a head gasket, but that's
But never had a bottom end rebuild or whatever, and it doesn't blow smoke. It's
No.
not lethargic. It really is a very strong motor. So that's the 124.
Mm-hmm.
What came after that?
another free car.
Another free car.
Which you still
I
also
still
own.
Own, yes.
Yes.
And which is also no such thing as another free car. Cost you a bit.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, not a lot,
Not
not
as
a
much
lot.
as the Benz.
No,
That's for sure.
no.
To be fair, it's better than the sum of its parts. This car. It's I got this car from my brother's girlfriend's dad, who had it for years, had it for 20 plus years, and
Okay,
it's,
and it is. We need to
Yeah,
say
we need
what
to say
it
what
is.
it
Oh
is.
yeah, sorry, yeah. It is a 89, like the 124,
Okay.
but it's a Ford LTD. So long wheelbase.
And
lane
the
yard.
Broadmeadows built
Correct, yeah.
And
flagship of the
LTD,
fleet.
Flagship, yeah.
that was the flagship.
It was,
Flagship
yeah.
of the
It was
fleet.
no higher.
No, it was an expensive car.
Except
Like,
yours has got velour.
you couldn't get leather in the DA.
Only
So-
in the update.
In the DC.
DC
Correct.
update,
Yeah.
which was what, 90
Did not know
onwards
that.
or 91?
Yeah,
or something.
90.
Yeah.
They had like a little shift change.
Now imagine 1989,
Mm-hmm.
and you lift up your double garage door in, what's a cool suburb in 89? Vermont South.
Yeah, Vermont
Yeah,
South,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, you
Ivanhoe.
sort of-
Ivanhoe.
You just
Old money. yeah.
Old money.
old money, but no, Vermont South. You just built your new AV Jennings dream home. You've inherited some money, so you
Absolutely.
build your own AV Jennings dream home. It's got a double garage, and you treat yourself to a couple of cars.
Absolutely.
Up goes the door. You got the brand new LTD, white with grey velour. Next to it, the 260E Mercedes, or same year. Grey on grey vinyl. But the neighbours don't know.
They
it's
don't
vinyl.
know
They
that.
don't
I
know.
don't know that.
Oh no.
Imagine those two. That you were quite someone in
You would be an
1989.
absolute
Absolutely.
baller.
You
if
were rolling.
Absolutely.
People like respect.
Yeah, they would get out of you. They'd be like, "Well, this guy's made it." My dad hopped in the LTD probably a week ago. I took him for a dog because he could, we went for a drive, and he's like, when he first came to Australia in '87, his friends had one in '89, bought a brand new LTD.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was like a spaceship back then.
Yeah.
And he's like, not so much now, but he's like,
but it was a big, like we said before with the Laser, it was a big jump in those models.
Huge.
I remember my dad had an 86 ZL Fairlane, which was one of the last of that old boxy shape that had since the early 80s.
Yep.
Then in 89 out came that new Fairlane, LTD being the same shape.
Yep.
And I remember the first time I saw one was at the motor show and spinning around on the turntable. I was like, wow, that's the new Fairlane. The thing that got me the most was the wedginess of it.
Yes.
And the lenses at the back.
yeah.
Yep.
The big, they look like computer graphic, huge rectangular lenses.
Yeah.
Which was a far cry from those thin, sort of low ones on the previous one.
Correct.
And
dare I say a little Aston Martin Lagonda?
yeah, a little.
Yeah,
A little
that
Lagonda-ish.
long,
Yeah.
narrow, low.
That's not a
low
good
front.
thing, probably, but it's
Probably not.
it was
It's more reliable
From a
than a
style
Lagonda.
point of view.
I remember the first one I saw in the flesh was out on opposite the RSPCA in Burwood, and our friends were in a 123 Merc. They owned
nice
that
car.
old diesel, great car, much better than the Fairlane in hindsight. But we got out of that and we're about to cross the road, and I'm like, whoa, and they're like, Ed, what are you doing? And I'm like, there's the new Fairlane. And I just stood there looking, going, whoa,
Look at that.
the future has arrived.
The cool thing about those, I remember at the time, was velour interior, as we've said, a lot of velour.
Hell of a lot.
Everything was veloured. The door trims were veloured.
Console.
All over. The console was veloured.
Seats.
A lot of velours died.
Front of
to
the
trim that
seats,
car.
back of the seats,
Absolutely.
side of the seats.
It's everywhere. It's, as you said in your song, if you spill a beer, you wouldn't know, because it's just,
That's right. I did, listeners and viewers, write a little ditty song about Matthew's LTD, and what was the line? There's absorbent velour is everywhere. Spilled your beer, but it doesn't matter because there's absorbent velour everywhere. Something like that. Anyway.
That car actually came to a highball car club
did?
show with little Australian
Well,
flags
Matty,
on
we
the front
talked about
cars.
it.
And it looked like Paul Keating was arriving.
Keating was there.
Someone said that we drove because Matty was like, "What car do we take?" Oh, let's take the LTD because there'll be no one else will bring one.
I haven't seen one since.
No, I haven't seen one since. And it's white, so it looks very Prime Minister-esque.
Was.
And as we drove in, someone yelled out, "Hey, where's ScoMo?" It was like they should have yelled out, "Where's Paul Keating?"
Paul Keating,
Yeah.
It got a lot of love actually that day. It was cool. It was cool.
It's such a tidy old thing. It's great.
It drives really
So for
well.
a free car, I think that's pretty cool.
And you still got it.
And I've still
And
got
you
it.
still
I know
got
I'm getting. It's the guy.
Have you ever entertained the idea of selling a car?
I have, and
Okay.
that is the one I've been wanting to sell.
Okay.
Despite the fact that I should be wanting to sell the Merc more, because the LTD actually works quite well.
But you haven't actually sort of advertised it.
No,
yet.
I haven't.
No,
It's
no.
kind of been a bit of more of a word of mouth. Like the guy that was supposed to buy it, I don't think he could convince the other half. So
Right.
so-
Okay.
So you own that now. Anything else in the fleet?
Yeah, I've got. So I did do a bit of work on the Laser, and my brother had a car that was just sitting there for a bit, and I needed a daily to get around. So I bought Subaru Forester, Forester XT.
A modern SUV.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's everything.
SUV.
Everything against everything I believe in. It really is.
And yet it's so good.
I do like it. Oh my god.
But, it's not just a base Forester Auto. This is a little more highly structured.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a bit of a hot Forester. It's an XT, so it's got it's basically a WRX, but it's got a bigger turbo exhaust, and it's been modified like proper suspension, and it's had the works going through it, and it's a bit of a weapon. Like, it's a quick car.
I've driven that car, and it's not velvet glove. It's just glove.
Glove,
It's
yeah.
glove.
It's just
Yep.
it is
Slap in the
fast.
face. Yeah.
It is slap in the face glove. It is quick.
Yeah, it is a quick car. It's been tuned, and STI short block in it, and it's a fast car, and so practical and handy. And I call it a wagon, even though everyone's like it's an SUV. I'm like, no, it's a wagon.
What is it? It's still a wagon.
It's still a wagon.
Wagon life.
Yeah.
But
And that's it. That's the lineup.
How many?
No,
Oh, hang
there's
on,
still
no,
one more
no.
to come.
Oh yeah, they
There's
say yeah.
one more.
There's
Probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably
Yeah,
my
yeah.
favourite.
Yes. So I'm a sucker for 80s cars, and I'm always
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. And I just think that because they were just so futuristic looking and wedgy and just cool. I I saw
I feel like 80s stereos and 80s, fashion. 80s hair was big. And it was. They weren't scared in the 80s about what people thought. It's like,
absolutely.
I'm big, I'm
That's
bold,
right.
I'm out there, I'm doing it.
I don't care what you
I'm
think.
living
this is what it
large.
is.
Screw you.
Yeah.
The shoulder pads will prove it to you.
Exactly.
Yep, we're going for it.
Matter of fact, a little bit of extra
No, that's all
support
me,
there,
actually.
David.
That's all me.
That's all muscle.
Been in the gym, David. Been in the gym.
So what was the 80s treat?
So I've always loved 80s MR2s. So AW11 first gen MR2s.
Fantastic.
Talk about wedge.
Wedge. It is
The ultimate wedge.
some have argued that is the most 80s car ever made, and
Okay.
and with fair reason, I think.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the interior's wedge, the exterior's wedge, everything
Yeah.
is wedge.
Yeah.
Like, it's a piece of cheese, really. It is. It is.
I call it the old cheddar.
If it was yellow, I'd be calling it Swiss. But it's I've always kind of liked them, and I saw one when I was a kid and I loved it, fell in love with it. And then I saw one on Wheeler Dealers, like when they did one.
Yep,
Hold
I
out
saw
your
that.
hand.
Hold out your hand, you got yourself a quality motor. You got yourself a thoroughbred, as you would say.
A thoroughbred
Thoroughbred.
with an F. A thoroughbred.
Thoroughbred.
And when they did one, I was just hooked to the
You're
deal.
like-
I was 15 at the time when I saw the episode, and I was,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Mum, that's the car I want.
I love it when you know that.
Yeah.
Like as car people, there's some cars you're like, it's okay. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, if it was cheap enough, whatever. But there are some that you just, I will own that one day.
Absolutely.
And I've got a few. David's got a few.
Yes.
That's
I've got
amazing
three.
that you've now secured one of those.
You've
Absolutely.
got three.
Three that
Okay,
I've
we'll
seen-
come back to that.
Yeah,
We'll circle
We'll
back to that quickly.
Circle
So,
back to that quickly.
MR2,
correct.
very original car.
Very original car. Finding a car with good bones was a good start. Like I remember when we looked at it, Edward.
Yeah.
We were like, look, it's good, but it just could be great. And
Yep.
doing those little things made it happen because there's so many just munted ones. And
Yeah.
That's right.
finding one that was still I mean, that car was on the edge, I think.
It was very original. The only non-original thing I think was the wheels and the gear shifter, maybe.
Yeah.
But like you said, the toolkit was missing, and the cover under the bonnet was missing, and the front bar's being painted, and no one's bothered to put the pinstripe back on, and just those, like we said before, the devil's in the detail. And
Absolutely.
I think all three of us, as we mentioned, love taking a car that's 80% and getting it to 95%.
Absolutely.
And that a lot of people just don't know. They go, "Oh, that's a cool little 80s wedge. Yeah, I'll drive around in that." But they don't know it's meant to have that,
Correct.
or it's meant to have this or this. And it's the autistic among us that that go to that next level and really make it sing. But the biggest thing was the wheels, and there's a bit of a story about that.
Yeah, we.
Yeah.
I looked everywhere for a set of wheels for this thing.
I remember for months you were like,
Oh.
"I've looked on forums, I've
Yep.
looked on Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace,
Yep.
eBay." No one had a set of those.
Every time I got close, I got close in Adelaide once, but the guy's like, I want to sell the car with it. I'm like, I don't need a car. I just need the wheels.
want the wheels.
Just want the wheels.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
nah, no deal. I'm like, oh, damn. So then we were at Sakura Picnic earlier. No, sorry, I was going to say earlier this year, but
Yeah,
was
the
last
last
year.
year. Yeah.
Yep.
That brilliant event for newer Japanese cars at the Toyota Car Club of Victoria, right?
Yep,
they're a fantastic club. Like the stuff they run is just they're really
Brilliant.
it is
Yep.
good.
Anyway, Edward's like, we're going to get you those wheels. So we got a piece of paper.
I thought, let's go back to basics. Let's go old school. I said, we're going to put a note on the windscreen of your car.
With the
so-
little tear-off phone
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, not even. Anyone that walks, we're too lazy to print that out. So anyone that walks past is just going to go, wanted, original wheels for this car, here's a mobile number. So I pulled in my Tarago. You'll put in the MR2.
Correct.
A
And
very short time later,
a
another
blue.
guy.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
No. It's your, sorry. It's your, I'll shut up.
No, a blue AW11 pulls up next to me, and like we're just chilling next to your Taraga, and the guy's like,
But I wrote. By that stage, I'd written in my doctor's scrawl. I'm not a
Correct.
doctor, but I have doctor's scrawl.
well, you're a bit of a doctor, Dr. Bunting.
Anyway, I put that on your windscreen. This guy gets out, and he just goes,
I got your wheels, and I'm like,
"What?"
Yeah, okay. and it's like, how much?
I couldn't believe it.
so
Could
then-
not believe it.
Later that week, we went and picked them up and got them restored, got them diamond cut again. Just finished up,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
some guys in
Richmond.
Richmond, yeah,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
it just set the car off, like it just.
Because it had, they're a 15, aren't they? No, 14.
14,
No,
they're
14.
14, yeah.
But it had 16s on it, I think.
15s.
15s, yeah.
And those original rims on that 80s MR2 are particular to that car, aren't
Correct.
they?
That's right.
They were never on any other
No.
car.
It was that,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and like the MR2s had two sets of wheels. They had those, and for the series ones, which we never got, they had like the triangle. I call them the Dorito wheels.
Okay.
But yeah, the later ones are the nicest ones, and that was the one thing that I wanted for the car because it just sets it off.
Just finishes it
Yeah.
off. Yep,
Oh,
absolutely.
as we always say, the wheels maketh the car.
Absolutely.
That's
And
right.
they do.
Indeed.
So that was one of your dream cars. Just to make sure we've covered off all three of the must-haves in Matthew Janineh's life history. MR2, got it.
Typhoon.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And the laser,
Wow.
which was the SR2, because the next door neighbours one always kind of G'd me up to get one.
Got it.
Yes.
So
Wow.
if you would have died now, you're dying a happy man.
Close.
Close.
What's the next dream? Is there anything you don't have that you want?
TX3 turbo 4-wheel drive.
Oh, hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
creme de la creme of
That is-
lasers.
That is what I want. There's one up for sale at the moment. It's a bit rough, but I was like, but anyway.
And how much?
Yeah, a lot of money.
How much is a lot now for one? of those?
Well, for a rough one, that one, that's like 15 grand.
And it's always nice, I think, as a car person to have that little carrot.
Indeed.
Why do we go to,
to
work?
aspire to.
Why do we go to work for that carrot?
Yeah.
That's why.
Wow, that's a whole topic for another day.
I know
isn't
it is. Now, thank you, Matthew Janineh, for joining us.
Thank you. Indeed.
Lovely.
It's been great.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been an honour to be on the show.
Oh, well,
We'll
you're
plug-
more than welcome.
We'll plug your podcast.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Car Talk with Matty J.
Yep.
And you might occasionally hear David and myself on
You may.
Car Talk with
You
Matty
may.
J.
You're talking about many shenanigans that's happened in your car world.
Exactly.
Indeed,
If you want to
indeed.
get down to the nitty gritty, listen to that. But you can find this podcast on Facebook and Instagram at.
At AutoRetro.
That's right. David's like,
Podcast.
shit, what is it? What did we call it? At AutoRetro Podcast
That's
on
right.
Facebook and on Instagram. Lovely.
Thank
Well,
you, Matthew, for joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been great. I've really enjoyed myself.
Excellent.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming, mate.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night.